I've got a vehicle running from us.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to work in law enforcement? From deputies on patrol, what it's like to work in corrections, dig into some cold case investigations, and reveal the multitude of untold stories of how our officers give back to the community. All stories from your neighbors, the hard-working men and women who serve the citizens of York County.
I can back 144 on 5.
This is YCSO Behind the Badge, the official podcast of the York County Sheriff's Office. Welcome to YCSO Behind the Badge. I'm Trent Ferris, Public Information Officer for the York County Sheriff's Office, and also your host. And as always, go check us out on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube page, where we can get all the information that you need to you the quickest and easiest. And you can also sign up for the Notify Me alerts straight to your phone and email at yorkcountysheriff.com, because when a major event happens in the county that we feel needs your immediate attention, we can send you notifications to your area. And while you're doing that, you can sign up for those code red alerts too. That's the reverse 911 system, where you can get the same thing, text messages and emails straight to your phone as those events happen, all right there at yorkcountysheriff.com. Today, if you're listening to the podcast, it is on November 27th. It's also called Black Friday. It is the biggest shopping day of the year, and it's also time for this song.
'Tis the season to go stealing, fa la 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 la. Aren't our masks just so concealing, fa la 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 la. We will pull on your car handles, fa la 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 la. And we'll steal your favorite sandals, fa la 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 la. See the unlocked car before us, fa la 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 la. All their gifts are in there for us, fa la 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 la. Can't believe they skipped this measure, fa la 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 la. Then we'll go to pawn our treasure, fa la 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 la. Now we're sentenced all together, fa la 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 la. Locking doors has gotten better, fa la 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 la. We got caught while breaking glasses, fa la 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 la. See how slow our jail time passes, fa la 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 la.
That was a fun little parody that we did about 2 years ago with Kelly Lovelace, who is the sergeant over in OPS, and our former lieutenant, Dennis Chisholm, and Jamie Falkenberry over in the solicitor's office. And they're pretty good singers, but it was also a good thing, to reminder to folks. You don't like that song?
It is funny.
It is funny. You're so serious. That's our guest for today, but it talks about, because this is tis the season to be stealing season, from scams to porch pirates to people just stealing stuff to get money for whatever reasons. And so for that, I said, well, let's bring in our property crimes lieutenant, the great, the wonderful, my friend and yours, Pete Branham.
Hello, everyone.
It's just going to be one of those serious.
No, we're not going to be that serious. I just wanted to get you laughing on this Black Friday.
It's Black Friday. It's a Black Friday edition for folks who are out there going shopping early this morning at the time of this broadcast.
Could have been out all night.
That's right. They start at midnight. And they probably going to have some weird old, COVID rules, so you can't line up at the door and bum rush the doors.
Lines are going to be twice as long as they were last year.
You sure about that?
Probably triple.
Triple because of COVID?
Yes.
Because
6 feet distance.
Ugh. I remember when I worked in television news, I had to go out to Concord Mills for the Black Friday shopping days, and it was pretty bad. I mean, people
think about that in triple this year.
With COVID.
Yes, I don't think it'll be that bad. More online shopping for sure.
Online shopping,
yeah. 6 feet away from your iPad.
6 feet. And it's also that, I think that Cyber Monday is online shopping.
Yeah, but I'm sure with COVID that I wouldn't go out and do it. Not with a mask and 6 feet and 3 miles long this year, I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it either. Wow. Well, we're here to talk about property crimes because this is the time where people probably up on the property crimes kind of tick up in this time of the year because people buy stuff and people want to steal the stuff that you bought.
Yes, and you also have the rambunctious kids that are out of school as well, and they have a little bit more time on their hands to vandalize and take things out of mailboxes and, mess with people. So it is that time of year. You're right.
Well, first, we'll get into that in just a second. But first, Pete Branham, Lieutenant Extraordinaire over the Property Crimes Unit. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You have been working for the Sheriff's Office how long, and why did you get into law enforcement?
So this coming January will be my 25th year here at the York County Sheriff's Office. I did an internship here back in 1994 and 95, so it actually goes a little further than that.
Okay.
But yeah, my 25-year mark will be in January, which I'm just excited to say that I've been here that long.
Yeah, because it's getting close to the winding it down?
Yes, it is. Well, it could be. I'm not saying it is, but it could be for sure. I have, I was like you, I'm from this area.
Yep.
I'm a York County resident, born and raised. Parents were from York County, so me and you both have a long history of family ties here to the county, which is part of the reason why I got into law enforcement and wanted to be at the sheriff's office.
So 25 years ago, well, during the internship, you said, hey, that might be a job for me.
It's something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Law enforcement, because you didn't really sit behind a desk.
Right.
You got to go out. I love people. I love to talk to people. I love handguns. I mean, just a gun fanatic.
Yeah, where do you go?
So, it was another part of the perk of the job, if you will. And everything was different. It wasn't that you did the same task over and over again. You might meet the same people, the same perpetrators, sometimes the same victims. But each story is different each time. And I think for me, just the monotony of having something different all the time really appealed to come and be in law enforcement.
Yeah, I wish I would have gone back and talked to that Trent Ferris about 20 years ago and foregone the my brain lapse going into the news media, because I would rather have done this versus going to go to work in TV news.
But it got you to where you're here.
It
now,
is.
Trent. It got you to where you're here.
Right.
Now.
Everything.
So it was a great bag.
Everything happens for a reason, and that's how I got here.
There you go. That's exactly
so
right.
I can't really say that, but I wish somehow I could have reversed
and the
gears.
people you've met when you did it. So, I know you've got a long line of people from doing the job before you came here.
Good and bad.
Yes,
Just like in law enforcement.
Yeah, just like in law enforcement. Met a lot of great people along the way, good and bad.
So, all right. Well, good. Well, I'm glad. We're friends.
Yes, we are.
We've kind of known each other for a little while and everything. So, but now is the time to talk about your job. And the people who are under your leadership in the Property Crimes Unit, which is a bunch of detectives. And tell us about what you do.
Right. So I supervise 9 detectives, one being a sergeant detective. The greatest group of guys that I've had work for me in a long, long time. Had some that were great that has left since I've been here, but for the most part, the guys I have, they're mature, they know what they're doing, and we investigate property crimes. And what is property crimes, you might add? It's stealing. It's breaking into a house, taking cars, arsons, shopliftings, damage to property, financial transaction card thefts and frauds.
Ugh.
Oh man, my unit probably handles 75 to 80% of all the crimes that occur in York County.
Ugh. And that, especially that fraud week. Last week, if you're listening to the podcast, last week was International Fraud Awareness Week.
Oh wow.
So there's a whole week for that kind of stuff.
Great.
Yeah, so we put stuff out about that, about folks to be scam smart, because people out there are preying on people.
It's so easy now. To the deep dark web and to get your information on old websites that are no longer in existence, but if you dig down deep enough, you could get that information way out. So it could definitely hurt you in the long run. All
right. Well, we were talking about this a while back, or just a little bit here. Property crimes, people steal stuff for a reason. It's not, is it, they say it leads 90% of it leads back to narcotics, drugs, or something like that. But
I can tell you're absolutely right, Trent. I believe in my whole 25 years that I've maybe 4 people that didn't steal for a drug problem. Not all came out and admitted it right away that it was a drug problem, but after you dig down in the investigation, it's for a drug problem.
Yeah.
I think gambling maybe one time, and I know people read the happy stories about shoplifting and couldn't feed their families, and the officers, and those are the ones you want to break your back for, the ones that can't afford to feed their families, that you want to really help those people out. But 99% of it is a drug-related problem, and I don't know, it just can't make my heart bleed for it.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem.
Oh, yeah, it's a big problem.
And because people they feed their drug habit by going to steal somebody's lawnmower.
Exactly.
And then go sell it for money to go buy drugs.
Yes, and then, you've heard the sad story when someone's sitting there drinking a 12-pack and smoking a pack of cigarettes and say they can't afford to buy milk, but yet they go out and steal.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, so how do you guys go out and your unit? So a crime comes in, says somebody stole let's go back to lawnmower. Somebody stole my lawnmower. I mean,
Right.
First of all, the property owner should have probably locked it up in a shed, but somebody say they stole my lawnmower.
Right.
We come to you. How do you find that lawnmower and get it back?
Well, I mean, there are several ways. One is we go door to door and knock on neighbors' doors and say, hey, did y'all see anything suspicious? And hope that they do. Thank goodness for today's social media and web cameras that we have actual videos and places where they pick up perpetrators and suspect cars and vehicles. And, the serial numbers that are tied into those things can also go back to pawn shops. If the homeowners will write down the serial number or mark it in some way or fashion, like put the last four numbers of the Social Security number or their telephone number written in a marker on top of it. Those are readily identifiable pieces of information that we could go to pawn shops or look on Marketplace on Facebook or Craigslist, and we can look at the pictures and go back and detail those out and say, hey, that belongs to our person, and then we investigate it further and where did it come from and who sold it to you, kind of things. But we do have, to get into the pawn shops and the serial numbers, we do have a website that we use. It's called leadsonline.com that has access to all the pawn shops that are local to our area and mainly across the whole United States. But we generally look at those around the area. And it's also free for homeowners to use. Homeowners can get on leadsonline.com and they can actually upload pictures and serial numbers of their models and types of whatever property they have. It could be rings, it could be lawnmowers, it could be televisions. If they can go on these and just upload it for free, and that also helps law enforcement officers later when we need to have a picture or serial number of that item that was stolen.
Because I guess people don't think about it when they buy something. Go ahead and take a picture of it, and all those numbers on the back of, say, a television. Right. And that's a purpose. They're there for a purpose.
That's exactly right. They're there because that is there for the Trade Commission whenever they put those out to identify each one of them by a separate number. Some of them are 100 numbers long, and some of them are simple as 5 numbers long. But yes, there are definitely identifiable markings on those items.
And I know we talked about it, like sometimes people steal trailers, utility trailers. That's always a big thing. Always a big thing with utility trailers. We've told people in the past, lock those things down, put wheel chocks on them, this and that, chain them up to a tree, something that's hard to move, but also mark it up. Right. Like mark it up somehow so you can identify it, because they all look alike.
Engrave it somehow. If you can engrave it or some die cast and put some specific numbers on it to where only you know where they're at and can convey that back to us, not where anybody that can just see it could see it. But yes, you're right. Mark it up.
I tell you, I always thought about if I ever bought a utility trailer, I'd paint it bright pink or something like that, so it's everybody will ride down the road and I saw that pink trailer going down the
exactly. Yes, very very identifiable for sure.
Because utility trailers all look alike. They're either enclosed white big utility trailers or they're metal black. They all look alike, and I guess that it's all about the down to the bottom line of the dollar of the people who are making those things and selling them. But I mean, there's so many of them that look alike.
Yeah. There are so many manufacturers around here too. The different types of models and people moving in from out of state that, you're right. They all look exactly alike.
So I mean, it would help you and your detectives if somebody would go off and mark something. Make it.
I tell you, the best one I've ever found is someone put their business card hidden inside of it. So when we found it, it was a little tube underneath it, and we were able to pull out his business. You're talking years down the road.
Yeah.
He identified it like, I think, 5 or 7 years afterwards, and it had his business cards in there.
Yeah, and that's something that the normal thief would never bother to go
Exactly.
look
And I
for.
mean, you're talking about this trailer. It switched hands a couple of times in between the time it got stolen to the time we were able to recover it.
And then going into that, is that something happens like somebody will steal it, sell it to somebody else, then that person will sell it off? I mean, is that like a big circle of things like that? Is that how it works?
Nowadays the drug market when they're using the social apps or the websites, they're actually taking pictures of these trailers and selling them before they actually steal it.
Yeah.
So they'll have a customer already lined up, ready to buy it for $200-300, and then they'll go back and steal it that night and go sell it to someone.
So they'll be riding down the road, take a picture of the trailer,
Yes.
and then they'll go back and say later that night and steal it.
That's exactly right. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yep. Sell it before they steal it.
I mean, if you think people would put that much effort into it, they'd go into selling trailers and make a little bit more of a living off of it.
You would think.
You would think, normal thinking of trying to make a life of yourself. And I guess we can talk about that going into, we talk about utility trailers being stolen. We talk about car break-ins.
Oh my goodness.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
We can't go almost a month without hey, had 5 cars broken into on X street.
As you always said, it's 9 o'clock. Have you locked your car?
Yes. People ask me about that. It's like, why don't you do the 9 p.m. routine anymore? It's like, well, that got a little cumbersome to remind you every night.
Right.
I have to come up with something creative to make you see it and remind yourself to go lock your car door, which would be something that you should already do anyway.
We all know that you can make something out of stone and concrete and steel, and if someone wants in, they're going to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, not that this is a scapegoat, but we have free window replacement insurance. Most places in South Carolina do. So, you take the risk of locking your car to someone's. If they want in, they're going to get in. They're going to break your window.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, let's don't make it easy for them just to unlock the door or just open the unlocked door and go inside.
Because that's what people say when I post something on Facebook or something. They say, "Oh, I don't lock my car because they'll just break the window anyway."
Yeah, and does that happen? Of course it does.
Yeah.
But in a residential neighborhood in the middle of a quiet night, no, not often enough.
Yeah.
And leaving valuables inside your car, I just take the extra 2 minutes to take your laptop, take your $3,000 in cash, take your cards that you have, your food cards or whatever, and take them inside.
Your handguns.
Yes. Please take your handguns, rifles, and shotguns and leave them inside a locked residence and not your locked vehicle.
Yeah, well, that's my favorite hashtag I came up with was "Your car is not a gun safe."
It is not a gun safe by any means.
Is that just a thing? People just they have their weapon, which is if they're concealed carry permit holder and they have the right, thanks to the Constitution, to carry a firearm. But is there a rhyme or reason when people say I leave my firearm in the car for whatever reason? I mean,
there is not a rhyme or reason to any way that I can think of. I mean, you ride it around to protect yourself, but what do you do when you don't have it to protect yourself?
Right, it's gone.
Yeah, take the extra minute, take it inside, lock it up somewhere. So if you got children or anyone that may get a hold of it that you don't want to, put it somewhere, hide it, put it in a lockbox.
Yeah. Because that's frustrating to see, because the guns that are in the hands of a criminal now, and that criminal's going to sell it to another criminal, and so on and so forth.
Right, and those do not generally wind up at pawn shops.
They're handed sold hand to hand,
and sold straight to drug dealers.
What's the chance of getting a handgun back once it's stolen? I mean, is it low?
Yeah, it's very low. It happens. I mean, we have recovered some, but that's after it normally was involved in another crime somewhere in another jurisdiction.
Yeah, jeez. And I've heard that sometimes that by the time you even report it, it's already probably on its way to New York or somewhere.
Somewhere at a drug dealer, just loading them up.
Free gun. Or
free gun.
Probably not a free gun, but they're probably selling it for something.
Right.
So, anything else? I mean, what are some other things that folks can do? I mean, especially the scam season. This is you said you deal with fraud and scams. I always try to tell people to be scam smart on the Facebook and everything. Try to remind them, say, don't fall for those scammers online.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and right now with Christmas coming up, people are looking for good deals on Facebook and using PayPal and all those secure websites are great. I just saw one where a guy was trying to buy an Xbox not really up to date on the new electronics, the Xbox One or
Something.
the new one that just came out.
There's a new PlayStation 5 out.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I
Just
said, we
someone's
just got a 3.
trying hard to get it and found one online.
Yeah.
And the guy wanted to go to some other unsecure website instead of a Cash App or a PayPal account. And the guy did, and he's out $500. And then because he gave his information out over the web, he was out another $500. So, let's don't make it easy for the bad guys by falling into scams. If it's not something that we're sure about, don't do it.
Right.
If it looks too good to be true, it is.
And don't be pressured into something like when somebody calls you up, say we're going to cut your power off in an hour if you don't pay your bill. So go to the local store and get me a Green Dot Money Pack card.
Right. Yes. The government agencies usually don't ask for iPhone cards, Apple cards, eBay cards, Amazon cards, or Green Dot cards.
Yeah, because if your power is going to be cut off, they'll have told you a bunch of times through the mail saying, "Hey, you were overdue on your electric bill," or here's another.
And a few phone calls on top of that.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, phone calls and a couple of mailers saying, "Hey, you need to," and then most of the time these electric companies will help you out.
Right, and also too the law enforcement phone calls about your son is in jail. We need $3,000 in Green Dot cards in order to get him out, or he's going to be shipped off somewhere. That does generally not happen.
Now, from time to time, we do have the scammers that go to our website and find the names because it's pretty predominant on there.
Yes.
My name has been used in a scam once or twice.
Yes.
And has your name been used in a scam?
My name has been brought up in a scam, yes.
The scammers go and call you up and say, "Hey, I'm Lieutenant Branham with the York County Sheriff." First of all, if they say York County Sheriff's Department,
Right.
there's your first red flag. We're the
Right.
York County Sheriff's Office. And then, but anyway, they will say, "I'm Lieutenant Branham. You owe, we have a warrant for your arrest. We can take care of this if you want to, take care of this. All you have to do is go get me a prepaid money pack card, and then we'll
give it to me back over the phone. Give me the numbers, and
then I'll take care of this
we'll
warrant."
take care of it.
That's not how it works, right?
No, it does not. No, you want to definitely physically hand it to someone if that were the case, and get a receipt for it.
Right, of course.
But we don't work that way.
So how does if somebody were to get a call for somebody saying, "Hey, I got this scam phone call," whether it was a electric bill or even an electric bill, email, or phone call from somebody, what is something, especially so I guess they target the elderly, people who
Right.
get confused real quick.
Right.
What's something folks could do, remind that they could say, "Hey, I think this is a scam." The scam,
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I do is just hang up. I mean,
well, it's easy.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
it's
the easy question.
But
But
we all get the warranty phone calls and the the credit card, your credit card. We've been trying to reach you. Phone calls. When that comes through and it sounds robotic, just hang up the phone.
or
Secondly,
a foreign accent,
Yeah. Secondly, if you have made that mistake, at least let's get it reported and get it phoned in.
which is good nowadays. Some phones I get them like 3 or 4 times a day. It says spam risk.
Right. Yes. Thank goodness. Right. It actually gives us a warning now.
Well, thank you, phone. Thank
Right.
you, Apple or Steve Jobs or whoever runs
Right.
Apple now. Thank you
Right.
for that.
I did get a phone call from the Social Security Administration the other day where my Social Security number was used fraudulently in Texas on a drug deal.
Is that true?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's really true. Especially when you could tell it was from a call center. The guy had a very thick accent, and you heard other people in the background with the same accent talking on the phone. So
Sometimes you like to mess with those folks.
I do. I do. It's a good game.
Somebody told me I got a phone call once that said my heart medication was going out. It was bad, and so I had a little fun with him. Like, "Oh no, I need my heart medication. What do I need to do?" And he started trying to explain to me what to do, and I kind of let him on a little bit, but
Right.
then he realized I was goofing with him, and then he started cussing at me.
Yeah, I got the same result. He cussed me out and hung up.
All right, well, good. What else? Anything else folks can do to help y'all out?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier before the broadcast started about buying big TVs at Black Friday and leaving your large boxes out for everyone in the world to see. You have a large TV in your house, especially during Christmas time when we go on vacation to visit family and
Waiting for the garbage to come pick it up.
waiting for the garbage to pick it up. And here's this big 65-inch screen TV box sitting out by the roadway, like a big advertisement. Come on in, help yourself.
I've got a new television. Come get it.
Right, yep, or the laptop boxes or the Xbox One, the new wave video game systems, broadcasting out to everybody. We have it.
And then also on top of that, we have the problem of porch pirates. That usually happens every time.
We do have the problem with porch pirates. Yeah,
especially with this year, it's going to be a lot of online shopping because of COVID.
Yes, and I tell you, because of the whole corona, I've seen an influx of Amazon and UPS and the United States Postal Service, really running this year, dropping off. I've seen already 2 riders per truck now in neighborhoods across the street from me. So, yeah, it's out there. The biggest thing is to get Amazon to place it where it's not very readily visible from the roadway.
Right.
Because that's what they get. They just get people riding down and see a box on the front porch, no cars in the driveway, and up and out they go with it.
And it could be anything. I don't care what's in the box. They're just going to take the box.
They're just going to take the box, yes. Been looking for this package for 7 days. Amazon said it delivered, and guess what? It's not there.
It was there. Just ask them to hide it. Will Amazon do that? You say, hey, put it in this box or put it behind the planter or something like that.
Yes, a lot of times they will do that for you. I know that I have mine hidden in a very particular place at my residence as well, so it's not visible from the roadway.
Right. So watch out for those porch pirates. Even Amazon will have they have lockers at different places. Like at I think QT has an Amazon locker from places.
Yes, they do. They do have one.
So everybody has to go get gas, and they say, hey, we dropped off your package at the QT on X Road, and then in the locker, and then you have the code to get it.
Right. Exactly.
So there's ways to prevent this stuff from happening.
Or let your neighbors know. If you trust your neighbors, hey, I have a package coming in at 12 o'clock today. Will you be on the lookout for it?
Or have it delivered at a time you're going to be
at home.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, good. All these things you have to think about during the holiday season.
All of them,
because there's more shopping going on and a lot of other stuff going on. And even the criminals know out there, it's like, this is the time. This is
right.
This is their Black Friday, too. This is where they can make their money. And so I guess that's all things that help make your job a whole lot easier.
A whole lot easier, yes, it would.
And your detectives. Give them a shout out because they're the ones that are out there,
they are the ones,
busting
yes, the great guys and ladies that I have working for me.
Well, good. All right, well, good. This has been hopefully an educational podcast for folks. But
it has been fun, and I hope very educational for the people out there.
And if you ever have a problem with a property crime, you'll have the wonderful detectives of the Property Crime Unit of the York County Sheriff's Office assist you on.
Yes, and I would just say if anyone sees anything suspicious or if anything pops up on their Ring videos, because again, video is out everywhere. If it's suspicious in nature, or if you see something suspicious in nature, don't hesitate to call the York County Sheriff's Office, and at least let's get it documented. So you never know what crime you may help us solve by something that you think is suspicious or out of the ordinary.
Because if it's happening to you, it's probably going to happen to your neighbor or your neighbor down the road.
Exactly, yes. If they're suspiciously looking at you, they're suspiciously looking at your neighbor.
Yeah, because they don't, I want to pick that house of John Smith over there. I'm going to pick his house. That's the only house I'm going to pick on this street.
That's exactly right.
Well, good. And, home surveillance cameras, too. If you have a home surveillance camera, if there's anything that pops up, that helps, too. Same thing with Ring video cameras.
Yes, it sure does.
All right, good. Well, thank you, Lieutenant. Well, before we go, we always ask everybody who comes in on the podcast, if you were to give someone who's wanting to get into this world of law enforcement, on the cusp of wanting to be, put in an application to come work for us, make law enforcement a career, what piece of advice would you give them as they step into this world of solving property crimes or crime in general?
This definitely is a very passionate job.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a love for the people in the community to get into this place. So look deep into your heart and just say, hey, do I want to help protect my community that I live in or where I plan to live? Because we do have people that come here that, aren't from this area. But, to have a passion for this job and to be very self-motivated. I, again, like you, born in York County, is something that I wanted to do, something that I felt that I would love to do to help out my community. And I just say, look deep down inside yourself and say, am I motivated enough to do this on a day-to-day job?
Because it's on the business card for we're hiring folks. It says be the difference. If you want to be the difference.
It's an ever-evolving career.
Yeah.
It's always changing. It's changed over the last 25 years that I have. For the good. For the most part, some for the bad.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think it's.
But you'll get that anywhere.
You're going to get it anywhere. Any job you go to, as life goes on, you're going to get bored. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get into things you really don't want to get into. But the good thing about law enforcement is that there's so many different divisions that you could get and fall in love with.
Right.
We have K9. We have dive teams.
You're
we have
on the
SWAT
dive team.
I'm on the dive team. But I was on the SWAT team.
Yeah.
And I was on the K9 team.
That's true.
I was on the traffic unit.
Yeah.
I was in narcotics. So, I mean, I built my career in different areas when I was here. And I think that's the most fun of being in law enforcement, is that you just don't have to go down one path. There are several paths to go down.
Everybody thinks you're going to be that guy on the road all the time.
That's exactly right.
So you don't have to be.
You don't have to be. You can.
You can if that's what you like.
Yeah.
But
Which is nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, but you can make it whatever you want it to
Make it whatever you want to be.
Well, good. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for stopping by the podcast and hopefully folks are listening to this and they'll maybe lock their car door tonight. And take their value.
In the future, always, not just tonight, always.
Tonight and beyond.
Yes.
Lock their car door so you don't have to, worry about somebody's weapon that was left in the center console now in the hands of somebody or whatever.
Take it inside.
Just take it inside.
Take it inside.
So remember, you lock your car, take your valuables inside, hide your products or your packages on the front porch.
Yes.
And report suspicious activity.
Report it all. We don't care.
There we go. Well, good. Well, thank you, sir. Lastly, before we go, we got to remind everybody to go check us out on our social media pages, because we will remind you from time to time to lock your car door. We just may not do it every night on 9 p.m. because that was a lot of work. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, where you can find all that stuff. And if you're on the YouTube, you can listen to this podcast via the video. If you don't have a podcasting service, but we're on most all the podcasting services out there. The big ones: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, so on and so forth. But the best way to also tell your friends about the podcast, go listen to it so they can be educated about property crimes and to lock their car doors at night and hide their valuables and lock their trailers up to something where somebody won't roll
Pay it
off
forward.
with it. Pay it
Tell
forward.
3 friends, and hopefully they'll tell 3 friends.
Oh, and then the world will be a perfect place.
It would be a great place.
But then you'd
it
be
already is, but it'd be a better.
But then we'll be out of a job because no crime would happen. Lastly, sign up for those notify me alerts and code red alerts straight to your phone and email at yorkcountysheriff.com. And finally, thanks for listening to YCSO Behind the Badge.
Happy Black Friday.